so one of the most like amazing things that happened to me around the same time when I lived in Sydney was I did this thing called 40 days and 40 nights of yoga and meditation.
Okay.
And I just really started getting into yoga.
It's exactly what it says, right? Like 40 days, 40 nights. Okay.
40 days, 40 nights. It's quite a classic program. You don't see it as much anymore, but this is, 12, 14 years ago. And it was quite like big round then. And so you basically did, meditation. So you met up each week for like the different style of meditation you were going to do. And the first thing I'd ever heard, so I was probably about 21, and they were like, okay, this week we're going to talk about watching your thoughts, and we're going to look at the tapes that we play in our mind. And I was like, tapes you play in your mind? What are you talking about? Like, this is like, weird.
Woo-woo.
Like, why would, or not so much woo-woo, like I think I was open to it, but I was like, I don't think I play a tape in my mind. I don't have a repeater pattern. Went away, of course, started reflecting, and I was like, oh my God, I do. And one of the tapes that I played was a victim tape.
Okay.
And I think women, again, can relate to this because of Disney movies that we've been sold, which is like something bad happens to me and then my prince saves me. Wow. So I used to like come up, and this is me oversharing my thoughts, which is quite, but like I used to be like, I'm going to get hit by a car. I know this is really dark, but I would be like, I'm going to get hit by a car. I'm going to wake up and it's going to be the sexy doctor.
That's what's going to happen.
But like, I know that sounds really far-fetched, but I think a lot of people can relate to that. And maybe men can as well. But that sort of idea of like something and someone saving you, being saved, because we've been programmed, especially women, through every single Disney movie. If you think about it, it is like the woman's a victim.
This is a like revelation for me. I've never seen it like that.
She's saved by a man. Yeah. So like often like women might play it small or keep it low profile because they're waiting for their hero. And I remember being like, I was raised by a feminist mother, like who like run her own business, like absolutely not. Like I want to be my own hero, my own journey. And that was like a big, big change for me.
Hello, welcome to another episode of For Soul's Sake, a conversation in which we bring you amazing people who are transforming lives across the world through social media platforms, through their work in wellness, through their experiences that have transformed their lives and are using that to shape the lives of others. Today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Madeleine Shaw. She is a wonderful person who is renowned in the wellness industry with a wealth of knowledge and experience. As a nutritionist, home cook, yoga and meditation teacher, and best-selling author, Madeleine has dedicated her life to helping others achieve true well-being from the inside out. Madeleine's own wellness journey began when she was diagnosed with IBS, prompting her to re-evaluate her lifestyle and dive deep into the world of gut health. This is going to be cool. I'm looking forward to hearing about this. Through her personal experiences and relentless pursuit of knowledge, she has become a leading advocate for a holistic approach to health, emphasizing the interconnectedness of nutrition, movement, and mindset. With her best-selling book, Get the Glow, Madeleine has touched the lives of countless individuals, proving practical guidance and empowering insights on how to incorporate holistic principles into our everyday lives. Her wisdom and expertise have resonated with audiences worldwide, inspiring positive transformations and a renewed sense of vitality. Madeleine continues to make a profound impact through her wellness platform, The Glow Space, a sanctuary that offers invaluable resources and support for those seeking balance and well-being. Her teachings on diverse nutrition, mindful eating, the importance of movement, and stress management have helped countless individuals achieve remarkable results. Madeleine, thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're an amazing person. You're clearly doing so much to help people through your own experiences of health. I have a question though.
Yes.
What did you have for breakfast?
I had scrambled eggs with spinach, some like sprouts, so like sprouted mung beans, sunflower seeds and lentils, and some avocado. That's what I made for breakfast.
I mean, compared to my bowl of nothingness or my regular bowl of Cocoa Pops, is it really so important to have like a good, healthy morning breakfast? I know you're going to say yes, but tell me why.
I really believe, and it's the thing that anyone says to me, where do I start? It's really overwhelming. I always say start with breakfast because of blood sugar level balance. I know that sounds a little bit boring to people, but what I like to sell it as is do you get a slump at 11 a.m. where you need more coffee, more sugar? Do you get a slump at 4 p.m. where you need more sugar, more coffee? If you do, you want to balance your blood sugar levels. So adding in protein to your breakfast is going to really help. It's going to keep you full until lunch. It's not going to give you those energy dips, that grumpy kind of ness where you hit that slump. And that's what we want to do. I think we want food to work for us in a way that it makes us feel good, it nourishes us, but also it makes us show up for life, whether that's as a really great parent, whether that's a really great colleague, whether that's pursuing your purpose in life. And I think when we eat well, all those other things happen. So I would say to people, protein pack your breakfast. So look at your breakfast and try and have a good portion of protein, whether that comes from eggs, whether that comes from tofu, whether that comes from protein powder in your smoothie or lots of hemp seeds in your porridge to kind of up that. That's a really, really good thing to start doing. And it makes such a difference because it means that you start your day not spiking your blood sugar levels where you get that big spike from, say, toast and jam, and then you get that dip afterwards. It means that you just get that nice piece of energy and you stay at a stable level until your next meal, say lunch.
I noticed that, recently we had a retreat and we had this amazing chef. It was in Italy, Kaylee, who's our sound engineer. He was there with me. And did you notice, mate, how everything we ate it sustained us for much longer because everything was really, really well cooked. It was hot. It was protein packed. I think there was a lot of tofu involved in the morning, and I remember there being like a lot of vegetables and fruits, and I was like, this is way better than my bowl of Cocoa Pops and cornflakes. And I can see like I'm just feeling way more energetic, and exactly what you said, I didn't feel grumpy.
Yes, exactly.
That's amazing.
Because it really does affect your mood, your energy, and I think that's what we don't want to be, always like, oh, I've got to eat something more, I need to have another snack. We want to eat and then go enjoy life and then come back again and eat again. Whereas I think when you're on this like roller coaster, you're just like waiting for the next meal, grabbing the next snack, grabbing the next energy drink, coffee, whatever it is to keep yourself going in this perpetual up and down cycle. So look, some people don't like breakfast. A lot of people are really into fasting or like delaying their breakfast till later. But that doesn't matter whether you're eating at 9 a.m. or 11 a.m.
The principle still stands.
The principle, exactly. It's the same thing. Just make sure that it's protein packed. And diversity is also really important. So like you said, eating, whether that's a few different types of fruits or a few different types of veg, that's also going to keep you more satisfied, full. And I think, we think about food in nutritional compounds, so like your macronutrients like protein, carbohydrates, fats, but also we should think about it in what satisfies you. And a lot of that is that umami, so those different types of tastes. So you might get a bit of sweetness.
Umami?
Yeah, you know umami.
No, I don't. I'm like ignorant. Please
No,
teach
it's
me.
fine. It's just about the different types of taste, so like sour, sweet, salty. So it's having all of those different things, and that's what satisfies us. That's what often makes foods taste really, really good, is having those different types of, and that's I imagine at the retreat what you're maybe having.
Yeah.
Lots of different flavours, tastes that satisfied you nutritionally, but also emotionally as well.
That's my word of the day now. Umami. That's my word of the day. I'm going to use that. It seems like, and this is the first time we're meeting, but it seems like you've got a really good morning routine, because if you've got that kind of breakfast, there must be like a holistic kind of, a well-rounded morning. And I know that many of us, unfortunately, are packed in the morning, needing to get out, go to school runs and work runs and blah, blah, blah. What does an ideal morning for you look like?
So I have a 5-year-old.
Oh.
I have to pop that in there.
Beautiful.
So he luckily sleeps in a bit. 7:30, 8 is his wake up time. So I tend to wake up an hour before he wakes up. So 6:30, 7. Sleeps in a separate room. Yeah. Well,
sometimes.
I would say he does like to creep in the night. Yeah. Scattering. Anyway, so I wake up and the first thing I do is hydrate. So that's something that our body really needs first thing in the morning is water. We've probably not drunk water for 8 to 10 hours or something like that. So I try and fill myself up with like at least a pint of filtered water first thing. And then I go out into sunlight. So the reason I do that, well, it might not always be sunny, but
Yeah.
daylight, is that's really helpful for your circadian rhythm, is to get that exposure of light onto your skin, especially the tops of your eyelids, first thing in the morning. And that helps you with the rest of your sleep cycle. So if you're someone that doesn't sleep that well, you want to obviously look at your nighttime routine, and we can go into this, but you could also need to look at what you're doing in the day. And so many of us, I obviously know we're inside at the moment, spend so much time indoors and not enough time outdoors. And a huge importance for our circadian rhythm and our sleep cycle and our energy feeling good and bright in the morning and sleepy at night is because we're off kilter, we're on screens, we're inside too much, and we're not getting that natural rhythm of what it is at the moment, which is sun in the morning and then dark at night. And then I move, and that's either yoga or Pilates. And I do that for about 20-30 minutes. And then I meditate, which is transcendental, like mantra meditation. TM, yeah. And at that point, my son might have woken up. And sometimes, like, he wakes up when I'm exercising. Sometimes he wakes up when I'm meditating. And he does tend to know. So he'll come and sit and cuddle me while I meditate. So that's quite nice. And
So
sometimes
water,
it's, yeah,
let me just try and remember.
Water,
pint, minimum.
daylight.
Minimum daily?
Yeah,
Daily?
or just in the morning.
Morning, okay.
Yeah.
Pint of water in the morning.
Daylight.
Get some daylight on you said on the eyelids.
Yeah. So don't wear sunglasses.
Circadian.
Yeah, your circadian rhythm. So your
Circadian
cycle.
rhythm. Okay.
Your sleep-wake cycle.
Okay. And then moving from that into doing some sort of movement.
Yes.
And then into some meditation.
Yeah. That's like, and I probably do that every day. I actually didn't do it this morning, as I said to you.
Yep.
So I went to bed a bit late. My alarm went off, and I was just like, I just need that. I just knew I need that extra sleep. And I think I've been reading about how women need more sleep than men. So women need 8 to 10 hours.
My wife tells me that all the time.
Yeah. And men only need 6 to 8.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to really make sure I'm getting that in that 8 to 10, just that bit, at least 8 to 9 brackets each night. So I put in an extra hour. So I meditated, but I'm going to do my movement this afternoon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I try and just show up, like, and it can be like 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour movement, but I think for me it's about consistency of just getting in that rhythm, because I know when you have periods where you don't do it, you just don't do it ever. Whereas I think if you just consistently even just do it, you could just do like 10 squats in your kitchen while your coffee's brewing. It's just keeping that momentum up of that routine, basically.
I was never into anything health, wellness of the body for a long, long time.
Okay.
And turn of this year, I really made it a focus. So got a PT, started eating cleaner.
Yeah.
ER is the key part there. And sincerely, I do feel a lot more focused actively. I feel a lot more aware and conscious. And I've noticed like this saying, where the body goes, the mind flows, has really become alive for me in this last 7 months or so. And so I'm not so much concerned about how I look anymore.
Yeah.
That's completely gone out the window. I'm kind of like, this is really good for my inner mental health, and also helps me to do my meditation, my chanting, and it helps me to sustain a longer period of focus. And so I so much appreciate you sharing that morning routine.
What was the thing that switched you, that made you go into that? Because I think on the whole, probably everyone listening is like, I know I should do this, I know I want to do that, but like, where does the moment come where you're like, okay, I'm going to make these changes?
That's a really good point, because it was going to be my next question to you as well. Can I be honest?
Yeah, go for it.
I heard a comment about my exterior.
Okay.
And it kind of really it touched a nerve. And it was from someone I really love and I really care about.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wow, if they're saying it, then I've got to make a change. And so that was the initial start point.
Yeah.
And even though like we live in a world where, you know, if you shame someone or like there is a little bit of, I guess, honest feedback on their part, we can be like, oh, come on, that person was a little insensitive.
Yeah.
But I really, now I'm 7 months in, I kind of feel like that was a really good thing for me to hear at that moment.
Yeah.
Like, fine, in the moment, it didn't sound nice.
Yeah.
But I actually really, really thank that person, because without them, I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing now. Okay. So I think that was for me. I didn't really have any health problems, if I'm honest. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't having any sleep problems, digestion problems.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got good skin, I think.
Yeah, you got
I got
beautiful
a mosquito bite, but apart from that, I'm all right. So yeah, I didn't have any external things that were saying do this now. Like I went to the doctor or anything like that, and that's why I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, when you were diagnosed with IBS,
Yes.
was that the beginning?
Yeah, so I moved to Sydney when I was 18.
All right.
So my parents are from New Zealand, grew up in London, was meant to go to Newcastle University, and then did a year travelling
Yeah.
after school and fell in love with Sydney. I was like, this is my place.
Nice.
A beach, but it's a city. Everyone was like outdoorsy. Everyone's happy all the time. And fell in love with it and ended up going to uni there for 4 years.
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, I mean, my parents were like, what? Like, this is literally... Yeah.
Anywhere in the world?
Yeah, they were like, Newcastle seemed far.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And had the most amazing experience. I think it was a really like... I wouldn't be the person I am today without it, because it was such a big risk moving into a flat with like people I didn't know, didn't have any mates. Like, you know, obviously I spoke the language, but it's a different culture there.
Yeah.
And it was a very different experience. But
Did they like the English accent there?
oh yeah, they loved it. It was
we
great.
need to go to Australia.
So yeah, got to get over that. So I was 19 and I was having lots of digestive problems and went to the GP and they were like, "You've got this thing called IBS." And I'm 33, so this is a long time ago. And I was like, I don't know what that is. Like I wasn't really sure. And luckily I was sort of getting into the health world. I'd always done yoga. I'd started it when I was about 17 for my A levels, and then
It wasn't really a popular thing back then.
I know. Well, my mum was into it, and she was like, "Look, this is really good for stress." And my mum was like making me take omega-3 for my brain.
My mum made me do that too.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing lots of things that are now like the norm.
Yeah.
And yeah, so anyway, didn't really know what to do, but went to see this naturopath, and she was like, "Look, you need to change your diet." And I thought I was really healthy. I was doing what the magazines told me: diet yogurt, diet drinks. You know, I can't remember what was promoted. You know, that
I
was
do remember that. Yeah.
at the time, like low fat was like the thing. And she was like, "You've got it all wrong. You need to eat whole foods. You need to eat quality protein. You need to eat more diversity. You need to like up your fruit and veg." And I was like, okay, like I'll give this a go. And
So like almost increasing than cutting things down.
100%, it was a total game changer, and it was all about crowding in rather than cutting out, which has always been my mantra.
Ooh, say that again.
Crowding in rather than cutting out.
What does that mean?
It's about thinking about things in positives rather than in negatives. So it's like, instead of me saying, don't eat Cocoa Pops for breakfast, it's me saying, why don't you have a fist portion of protein in your breakfast, so 2 scrambled eggs? Why don't you have a little bit of vegetables in your breakfast? So it's you adding those things in. And naturally, yes, probably you might be like, well, I've just had scrambled eggs, this, and this. Probably don't need a bowl of Cocoa Pops. But I'm not telling you not to eat it, because you're going to be like, who does she think she is? I'm going to eat my Cocoa Pops. You know, like we've got that natural instinct. So I think that's been a really, really helpful thing, because I think when we often don't hear not. So when we say to ourselves, like, I'm not going to eat pizza, or I'm not going to eat chocolate, I don't know about you, but you end up being like, get me a pizza tonight. You think about it way more. So you need to think about it in a different way, which is like, do you know what? I saw that aubergine curry and it looked really nice. And I don't really quite know how to cook aubergine, but you know what? I'm going to give it a go tonight. And tonight I'm going to make aubergine curry with, you know, I love, I don't know, sarg, or I love these sort of spices when I go to India. So I'm going to incorporate those spices. I know I like them, but I'm going to add in some aubergine just to try it out. And that is what I think makes these really positive changes, is thinking in positives, thinking about crowding in, adding more things in. And naturally those other habits will go away, because you are more likely, I mean, you could eat that and then eat some more, but at least you're eating something nutrient dense. You're nourishing your body. So to carry it back to Australia story, so went to see this naturopath. She completely overhauled my diet. And at the same time, I was eating in this cafe so much they gave me a job. And it was like this gym and cafe together. And it was quite innovative for its time. We were making our own kefir. I was cracking open Thai coconuts every day with like a cleaver. We were like making like sauerkraut. We were like slow cooking things. We were making salads and energy balls before energy balls were like something you could buy in the shops. So I had no idea what I wanted to do in my life, and I had quite a few jobs before that. But the minute I started learning more about nutrition and health and food, I was like, I want to get into this. This is like, I don't know how I'll make a career of it. So I finished my degree, which was in ancient history. So completely unrelated.
That is so different and random. I was not expecting that. Ancient history.
Well, over in Oz, they do it quite differently, which I really like. So you do like an arts or a business. So in arts, you basically can choose anything from the arts. So I did like anthropology, art history, like anything that's evolved.
Oh, so it's not zeroed in.
No.
Okay.
And then you basically major at the end. And that it's not like I know loads and loads about ancient history. It's just that I had done like 3 semesters of ancient history, so I majored in it. But it's more called an arts degree where you just study. And that was, to me, I think that makes so much more sense from a educational point of view, because, okay, some people do know what they want to do, but most people don't. And most people are then spending 3 years learning about one thing that they might not even care about at the end. So I actually quite like that approach to university.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I kind of had that, like, caveating into that. Yeah, I remember, like, I did one degree at Brunel University, was a little bit naughty at the time. So I got kicked out of that university and was, like, searching around, and then went to Leicester University and did another degree that was basically the same thing with a different title on it.
Okay.
And scraped my way through. But remember going, I wish the education system allowed me to explore a little bit more as opposed to just funneling me in.
Totally.
This is your thing now, and that you have to only do this one thing. Because when I went and worked in corporate finance, I enjoyed it like 2%. And I was like, I just spent 5 years, because 2 years at Brunel, 3 years at Leicester, 5 years of my life trying to figure this out. And it was like the saddest moment of my life, thinking I've just wasted 5 years. But I mean, the good thing was that I found my spirituality during that time. So
yeah, and like I don't know. A lot of people say that about uni, it was wasted years because you don't. You know, for me, I've never used what I do, but I don't like. Okay, fine, maybe the educational side is, but it's about the like socialization.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all the different jobs that you get, whether that's during term or during the holidays. It's the relationships, it's the exploration, it's moving out of home, but you're not quite an adult yet, but you are more than before. I actually think it's fantastic.
it was definitely cool.
It's a big cost, you know, and fees have gone up so much.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a part of it where you'd be like, would you do it again? But I think it is an important chapter for the evolution of us as humans.
I'd agree with that.
So yeah. Bring on ancient history.
Yes, we're repping ancient history today. Tell me something about ancient history that I didn't know before.
Oh, God.
What's your favourite fact? What's your favourite part of ancient history?
It's so bad I can't really remember that much, but I do like Greek mythology.
Me too.
Greek mythology was my favourite part.
But I like the Greek gods and like the tales that
100%, and the sort of like how they're telling you lessons through. Who's that Narcissus who looked in the mirror and falls in love with himself? And you know him?
I know him, but I don't know his name.
That's kind of where like narcissism came from. So like so much of you know, the stories are often how we've formed into, I don't know, culture, language. So I think it's fascinating, but honestly, it is quite terrible. I remember more about the socialising than the studying. Sadly,
I think most of us do. So if you ask me about banking and finance now, I'd be like, I don't know. What's inflation again? You know, I definitely, it's become a huge blur. I sometimes have nightmares about the exams.
Oh, I have that. Back at school, got to do your A-levels again.
Yeah.
That's a classic dream.
I mean, now that get this, because we're trying to figure out where my son's going to go for school. And some of the schools that we're applying for, he's only 3.
Yeah.
But there's some of them, they have like this entrance exam thing. And it's not really an exam. It's just like they get to play and the teachers watch them. I'm getting anxiety about that because I'm like, what the hell? Like, why is he having to do exams at such a young age? Like, he's going to be terrorized for the rest of his life with exams. But
I know.
exams are part of life.
They are. Yeah, they are part of life, 100%. And look, I think those things are quite relaxed. You know, I think they are just about seeing that he cooperates and understands, and I'm sure he'll be fine. Although I think my sister didn't get into one of those things because of that. But I'll tell that off air. I feel like she doesn't want that program.
Oh, Lord. Speaking about transcendental meditation.
Yes.
What do you do? Like, what's the actual like meditate? Is it guided? Is it something where you have to personally like have you read something and then you meditate? Because I've never done TM.
Have you not? Okay.
So I don't know what that involves.
So yeah, it's a mantra-based meditation. So you're given a personalised mantra by your teacher.
Ooh, I can buy into this.
And you do it for 20 minutes in the morning and the evening, afternoon, normally before dinner. And it's about using your mantra to transcend to a different state of consciousness. Yeah. And you use your mantra as a tool to anchor you back. So, you know, when you're meditating, you're like, oh, and then you're like, For you might be like, I wonder what school will be right. Will he behave? Will he throw a tantrum? You know, and you go into the thought. And the idea is that you notice that you're thinking and then you repeat your mantra again. And then that kind of sends you back into that state. So you're sort of you're going up and down into sort of thought and then transcending down into it and grounding. Exactly. Yeah. So I learned 8 years ago by an amazing teacher called Will Williams from Bija. You should interview him.
Cool.
He's really cool. And yeah, I love it. And I do also like guided meditations, and I like to do them myself, and but I find with the mantra, what I love about it is you can do it anywhere. You don't need your phone. You don't need your earphones. You can wake up and it's just you. And it's very still. It's very quiet. And I often sometimes just use my mantra this is probably a bit too much information, but I was getting a smear test.
Okay.
And it's quite, you're all men in the room. Yeah. It's quite confronting what they do, you know.
I've never, so I don't know what that involves, but okay.
Anyway, women will know. Yeah. And so I use my mantra just to relax my body. So I sometimes use my mantra just in moments of I'm feeling a bit stressed as I anchor to calm my body, calm my mind. And I really love it. I think each their own. Everyone connects differently with different things, and I get that people won't connect with that style as much as others, but for me it really works.
I think tides are changing though. Maybe because I'm in that bubble right now, so my practice is chanting. Yeah. And so I'm singing and chanting. Yeah. And obviously on Instagram, everyone just looks and goes, oh my God, that's really raucous, and they're all dancing and ecstatically moving and chanting. But a lot of my chanting is very peaceful. So that 20%, that's the ecstatic, everyone's moving and dancing and chanting and raving. But I actually sometimes, even when I'm walking in silence, I'll chant. Yeah. Or when I'm just doing something in and around the house, I'll be singing and chanting to myself. And I think that there is a growing scene in the mantra spheres. I think there's something that people are going, this makes sense. I'm so used to hearing sound vibration, which changes my consciousness in different other facets of my life, whether it be romance, whether it be excitement in a movie, thriller, or an action scene, that you're used to hearing particular sound vibrations. And I think that there's a sound vibration that is so clearly attached to higher consciousness. Yeah, watch this space. Maybe it's just because I'm in that bubble and I'm seeing my thing grow that I feel like that's what's happening. But no,
I totally agree. I think there's an appetite for meditation in a way that there wasn't before. I feel like I used to have to convince people, and now people are much more interested. But I think a lot of people, I don't know if you get this, are oh, I'm not good at meditating. I'm always thinking in meditation, or I'm not getting it right. And I think, I'm sure you're dispelling this myth all the time, but thoughts are part of meditation. Exactly. And I've asked every time I meet a meditation teacher, I'm like, so have you ever had a meditation without thought? And most of them are once. Do you know what I mean? And like their thousands and thousands of times that they've showed up and sat on the mat and meditated. Like, and I think that really goes to show that actually it's quite unlikely not to have a thought, because that's how our mind works. And it is, whether that's to keep us safe or to kind of plan or control or all these different things that our mind's often doing, that's okay. And we have to kind of have a bit more peacefulness and like almost detachment from it. But
watching the thoughts go by,
exactly,
being in the observer
role. And I think that's actually really helpful. Like, even if you are just watching your thoughts for 10 minutes, it's not a bad thing, because so one of the most like amazing things that happened to me around the same time when I lived in Sydney was I did this thing called 40 days and 40 nights of yoga and meditation.
Okay.
And I just really started getting into yoga.
It's exactly what it says, right? Like 40 days, 40 nights. Okay.
40 days, 40 nights. It's quite a classic program. You don't see it as much anymore, but this is, 12, 14 years ago. And it was quite like big round then. And so you basically did, meditation. So you met up each week for like the different style of meditation you were going to do. And the first thing I'd ever heard, so I was probably about 21, and they were like, okay, this week we're going to talk about watching your thoughts, and we're going to look at the tapes that we play in our mind. And I was like, tapes you play in your mind? What are you talking about? Like, this is like, weird.
Woo-woo.
Like, why would, or not so much woo-woo. Like, I think I was open to it, but I was like, I don't think I play a tape in my mind. I don't have a repeated pattern. Went away, of course, started reflecting, and I was like, oh my God, I do. And one of the tapes that I played was a victim tape.
Okay.
And I think women, again, can relate to this because of Disney movies that we've been sold, which is like, something bad happens to me and then my prince saves me.
Wow.
So I used to like come up, and this is me oversharing my thoughts, which is quite, but like I used to be like, I'm going to get hit by a car. I know this is really dark, but I would be like, I'm going to get hit by a car. I'm going to wake up and it's going to be the sexy doctor.
That's what's going to happen.
But like, I know that sounds really far-fetched, but I think a lot of people can relate to that. And maybe men can as well, but that sort of idea of like something and someone saving you, being saved, because we've been programmed, especially women, through every single Disney movie. If you think about it, it is like the woman's a victim.
This is a like revelation for me. I've never seen it like that.
She's saved by a man.
Yeah.
So like often like women might play it small or keep it low profile because they're waiting for their hero. And I remember being like, I was raised by a feminist mother, like who like run her own business, like absolutely not. Like I'm not going to be, I want to be my own hero, my own journey. And that was like a big, big change for me. And I think I always was like, oh, I'll just marry someone. And then I was like, no, I'm going to have a good career and I'm going to like form my like life. And, and of course, I have a great relationship and I have a child and I have all these other things and they are a big part of my life. But like I also formed my own, I didn't wait around for that. I formed my own path, my own career, my own purpose.
And that was from just observing that tape that was playing.
Totally. And I think
these are deep points.
Yeah, I think if we can like have a takeaway for you, for anyone listening, is like, what are the tapes that we're playing? Because it's often money is a big one. Like when I get wealthy, I'll live like this, or when I meet someone, I'll get like this, or when I'm happy. And it's always often it's like when. And it's like, why not now? Like, why not choose to be happy now or choose to feel love now?
I feel like a cool exercise would be literally just to write on a piece of paper, what are the tapes that I'm playing in my life, and then just start free writing and seeing like, it takes a little, but maybe it's a case of you need to write that paper, spend a day being observant or spend 2 days being observant and then come back to the paper and go,
definitely.
What were my tapes?
It can't happen in a day. It's like over a few weeks, I would say, because, or you could even be like, what do I fantasize about? Like, what am I, or like,
That's
what do I get?
It.
Yeah, what do I fantasize about? Good, bad, like, we don't have to make judgments in that. It's like, where does it go? Like, what am I thinking about? Or like, I don't know. It's something that really helped me, and I think if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have done it. And it's not that I don't sometimes go back into that tape, but I'm way more aware of it.
Just conscious that it's there,
100%.
It's okay. That will happen in due course of time, Yeah, that happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
Like, for example, for me, my practice is every day I chant for 2 hours in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds super arduous, and it is some days. Like, I only did an hour today because I had to get here in time. But during that, honestly speaking, this is almost without fail. The first, like, half an hour, 40 minutes, even up to an hour, is just all the various thoughts that are coming and going. And, like, I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to sometimes it's being, I need to be more this. I need to be more that. And then sometimes it's like the one thing that I desire the most is like playing through, and it's a material desire, you know, and being vulnerable.
Yeah.
What is my deepest material desire is to be appreciated, and to, you know, okay, that all the things I'm putting out, I'm putting up so much energy to try and serve and try and help and uplift. But I hope that one day it does get appreciated. That's a material desire. Like, how can I increase my appreciation of, the adoration from others? So that's like something I have to deal with, and I have to just keep kind of praying about it, keep, you know, seeing if there's something that will change eventually. But I know it's there, and I just park it exactly like you said. It's there. I know it's there, but my purpose and my life is meant for more. And I have to remind myself of that consciously. Like, okay, I know these material desires are there, but my spiritual desires are way more powerful, and they will help me to transcend. And I've seen that over time. It sounds maybe, I hope it doesn't come off that it's impossible. But over the 15, 18, 20 years, I can't even remember how long it's been. Wait, 2007. What are we in now? 23.
Yeah.
What's that?
16.
16 years. So 16 years of practice, I have noticed that if anything, I'm more conscious and aware that those things are there, and that slowly they're becoming purified. That slowly, like through this practice of chanting and meditation and service and serving in whatever capacity I can, that those things are slowly transforming to becoming less me-centric, less absorption on me, my, myself, self. And so it's like almost, I hope it's a hope-giving story that the process works. Like, you don't have to look a certain way or speak a certain way, or, you know, just be a little bit disciplined, I guess, is required.
Yeah.
And stick with inspiration stories. Like, find those that are on the path as well, maybe a few years further ahead, and then just like hear from them and see, okay, what are they doing? Has it really worked for them? And I think that what I'm speaking about here is, yes, firm resolve, discipline, but also finding a good community, like, you know.
Definitely.
Do you have a community of people that you meditate with, or like, or like maybe a nutrition circle that you really feel?
That's a good question. Yeah, I wouldn't say I've got a massive work community. I definitely have a lot of community in my family, friends, and my personal life.
Even with the Glow Space?
So the Glow Space, I've got, people who are subscribed to it. I haven't done any like in-person things. It's only 6 months old. But that's definitely something I like to do, because when I first started my business, I did like supper clubs, talks, cooking things, and I was much more like involved. Whereas I think once the lockdown happened, it was obviously you couldn't meet anyone in person, and then I've probably kept it that way, which is a shame, because it is actually really nice to be.
You enjoyed it?
Totally. And I think you learn so much from people, whether they're like, I'm struggling with this, or like, thank you for helping with this. And you're like, oh, okay. Because obviously you can see like statistics and comments, but actually hearing from someone what really helps them, really, for me, that's like the why I wake up and do what I do.
Wow.
And like, I think also you just learn as well. You're like, okay, this is working well. This is not. This is actually what people are struggling most with. Like, and you can navigate your content and creation to that. But I think for me, during the lockdown, I realised that even though I was like promoting like health and wellness and movement, I was like, I felt like I wasn't like moving. And even though I trained as a yoga teacher 9 years ago, I was like, I'm not able to. I think obviously classes had shut down, and I was always a class person. And I was like, okay, how do I start creating like movement at home? So that's only been something I've done really in the last year or so, because I really got out of exercising. Probably maybe went on the walks, you know, the
COVID walks.
The COVID walks, but everyone else was getting really fit in lockdown. I just didn't.
We had this really interesting WhatsApp group. It was initially just called Walkies, and it was like just a bunch of lads. And the thing is, because we couldn't gather inside, so we used to sit outside on garden furniture. But it used to get really cold at night, so then I used to get the blankets out. So we ended up calling the group. And if you're part of this group, you know who you are. It's called Walkies and Blankies.
Oh, that's really cute. I love it.
I mean, yeah, it's cute.
Do you know, but like, hanging out with people, God, it's such an important thing. Because they say, don't they, like, over meditation, over food, over anything, relationships are like the number one thing for your health and well-being is like the quality of your relationships. And I think it's quite an interesting one because I think sometimes when you get quite heavily into health and wellness, it can impact your relationships. Not always, like often in a positive way, but often it's like, I'm not going to eat out because I can't eat the right whatever it is, or I'm not going to come to your party because I've got to get up and do my 6 a.m. boxing class or whatever. And I think we've got to have that flexibility of knowing that actually the relationship part is the most important. And it might mean that we sleep in and we miss that one morning, or we're a little bit tired, or we go out and eat and it's not exactly the most nutritious food, but actually that joyfulness and that community, that the conversations, the feeling of connection is more powerful than the food and the exercise.
We've got to balance.
Things.
What's the words that this gen? Maybe I'm old now. They call it the balance between JOMO and FOMO.
JOMO and FOMO.
The joy of missing out, and obviously I have FOMO. Everyone knows, but it's like knowing like how to navigate that. Like what social circles do I feel will nourish me, but also do I need to be in solitude? And like, knowing what that balance is. I think I don't really so much think that there is such a state as balanced state. Like I think it's always like a little bit this way, a little bit that way.
Yeah.
Like, did you know, like on an airplane, right? An airplane's got a route that's going on.
Yeah.
Like it's got a line that it has to follow. The airplane will be on that track only 20% of the time. The other 80%, it's either a little bit this way or a little bit that way. I think that's so much significant of life. I think sometimes we aim so hard on that 20% that we just go, it's all right, like just adjust. No, like, okay, today I'm feeling I need a little bit walkies and blankies. Today I need to just be on my own. Today I need to go to sleep early. Today I need a little bit of social life. So it's that. That's what I think it is. That's balance for me.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think everything I'm hearing you say is understanding yourself, right? So I need this today versus tomorrow versus the other day, whereas I guess we're living in an amazing time, but quite a complicated time where we have so much information, right? You turn on your phone and this person's telling you peanut butter is going to kill you. And then you're like scrolling down and it's like, never do HIIT. Like you can only do low impact or whatever. And that's quite full on, from everyone, right? Because you're like, but what do I do? Like,
who's the expert?
Like everything is like, so you end up like, you're following one thing and you're not following, like you said, for yourself, that maybe on some days sleep is more important, on some days, eating more fibre or something like that is more important. But I think, how do you think, I love that I'm turning around to interview you, how do you think we can navigate back to finding our own compass when it comes to our own well-being? Because I think that's such a key part, right? It's like, okay, there's lots of information, we take it, but we also have to like know that my body is so different to yours, and what I do for my body might not work for yours, and vice versa.
Yeah, I think it's like there's so many things I could say on this. I'd say to start, there needs to be a desire. There needs to be like a want for that.
Yeah.
Like if you don't really desire it, then you're always going to think that it's an afterthought. But if you're like really conscious that, okay, I really want to be a little bit more like this, a little less like that, then I think it has to start with a little reflection, inner work, and just going, what do I really want? Like, okay, people make resolutions, but they make them kind of like at 11:59 on the 31st of December. Like it doesn't make sense because like you're not thinking through what is it really that you desire in life. So that's, I guess, number one. And then second would be, once you know what is it you want from your life and what area you want to kind of focus in on, whether it be bodily health, mental health, spiritual health, then reading around the subject, like finding people that you feel are authentic on that path, authentically on that path, And yes, you might trip up here and there, like exactly what you said. There's just so much information that how do I navigate the plethora of information that's out there? You have to just take a step, and it does take a little bit of a leap of faith to say, okay, here's someone that I admire. Maybe it starts external. I like the way they look. I like the way they talk. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
Then you have to peel away the layers and say, okay, what is it really that they're talking about? And then once you've done it, and this could take a whole like 5 years, what I'm talking about. It's not like going to happen overnight. But I think, yeah, finding experts in that field, and 3, finding peers in that field. I think we sometimes can rely too heavily on peers and not on those that quote unquote are experts. And I think sometimes we rely too heavily on experts and not on peers. And I think that both are required in tandem. Like if you have a community where someone's been practicing the same thing that you are maybe for 10 years longer or 5 years longer, it's such a wealth of knowledge. Like, okay, 100%. So I'm going through this right now. What do you think I should do? Like, da 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 da. What does 10 years down the line look like?
Yeah.
You know, and so I guess that was maybe 3 things in short that really worked for me. Or I would think about if someone asked that question, what about you?
Yeah, no, I really like that answer. I think something I watched the other day was this, nutrition guy on Instagram saying that the reason why he posts about what foods are bad for you is it does better for the algorithm because we have negative bias.
Oh, interesting.
So, like, we love, you know how the news is always like, you know, everything's terrible and
we're all gonna die.
Yeah, and like often the headlines are like really, really bad. So that's because we have negativity bias. So we'll look more at bad things than good things, which is like such a terrible trait of human beings. But I'm sure that's a lot to do with like keeping safe, you know, survival.
I mean, that's not new in one sense, because that's what the news is, right?
Exactly. So that's why the news has gone down the way they have, because they know we've got negative bias. Negative headlines will sell. They need to make money. It goes on. And same with this same guy. He was like, the algorithm favours when I say
don't do this.
Peanut butter will kill you versus try some almond butter or something.
By the way, will peanut butter really kill you? I need to know. I'll get worried now.
No.
Okay, cool.
Well, we can go into that in a sec. But okay. Anyway, so I thought it was really interesting that, because I did think, God, he's quite negative.
Yeah,
like
come on,
quite
mate.
full on. But like he's like being like, this is what works and I'm going to sell it to you. I think we need to have that awareness when we're consuming information from people, is that they might, you know, they want to help you, yes, but they also want to make money, be successful, you know, they're wise behind these things. So I think it's a kind of key thing, and controversy works, and saying something, you know, really dramatic kind of hits home. So I think that's a really fascinating thing to think about, understand and learn from. I've always said, like, be your own detective. So kind of, figure out what works for you. Like, I think we all know that movement is important, but find the movement that works for you.
Right.
So whether that's dancing, whether that's hiking, whether that's climbing, whether that's yoga, whether that's
football,
strength training, football, exactly. I actually think it doesn't matter that much. I know lots of people will be like, no, this is the only type and strength training is the way. But I think actually moving, like, some people don't want to be in the gym with weights, and actually any form of movement is amazing. And then again, with like nutrition, I think there's a lot of controversy, but I think we can pretty much agree that like vegetables are a good thing and diversity is a good thing. So eating a range of different types of foods, and whether that's if you do include a bit of meat or you are plant-based, or whether that's, you know, kind of making sure that plants are the biggest part of your diet and then the other bits can be the add-ons. And when I say plants, I mean like nuts, seeds, you know, vegetables, fruits, grains, legumes. So that's what I mean, not just vegetables when I say plants. And then I think we all know that we need some form of stress management and something for our mental health, and that might be drawing, and that might be singing, and that might be chanting, and it might be meditating, and it might be reading, but finding what's right for you. So kind of looking that move munch, meditate.
Say that again.
Move, munch, meditate.
Move, munch, meditate. I like that. That's a
and then
tattoo.
finding your pieces for that, because you talked about the Glow Space before, which is a platform I launched 6 months ago, which has movement, yoga and now Pilates, meditations and meal plans. So it's kind of for people who find that they can't quite make it to the classes, you know, want to kind of fit wellness in but don't have the time. So it's about bringing it to home. So it's really affordable. It's $9.99 a month. You can do 20 minutes of yoga or 20 minutes of Pilates in the morning, a 5-minute meditation, and then you're done for your like movement.
That's your
things. And then I do a lot of like food prep. So like on a Sunday, make this kind of soup, make these energy balls, make this bircher for the next 3 breakfasts, and then you've filled your fridge.
She knocked the mic. She knocked the mic. Before we started, Kaylee's like, don't knock the mic.
I told you negativity.
The negatives don't work. See? She did it. She's going to do it again now.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep my hands.
No, it's fine.
And where was I? I was so enthusiastic.
You said prepping breakfast.
Exactly. And I find that's a really good thing because I think if you opened your fridge and you saw, do you like bircher or like overnight oats? Or
overnight oats.
Yeah, if you saw some overnight oats, you're much more likely to grab that than then make your Cocoa Pops. Whereas if you're like, I've got to get out the door, it's nursery drop off, you're like, okay, I'll quickly do the Cocoa Pops.
Right.
Because I've got to get the oats out and then I've got to soak them, and then how long is it going to soak for, and I'm not going to make it. So I find food prep's a really good thing to do because then your fridge is full, you're much more likely to reach for that because we like convenience, right? We love convenience, and that's why like all these things like Get Here and what are those like delivery things where you can like order like
avocado.
But they've gone to even more like they're the ones that you can just be like, I want tea, and you can like order a cup of tea to your door. Do you know what I mean? Like that sounds so bananas that someone would actually order a cup of tea to their door.
I experienced that for the first time in Dubai.
Yeah.
So when I went there last year and someone told me about this app that's got this kind of...
Yeah.
I was like, this is insane. Like, it's like Amazon, but for food, and you get it right now. And
like 10 minutes.
It's
and
insane.
It's there. I know. So I think we've got used to that. So it's like, okay, so we like convenience. So how can you sort of make your convenience? So whether that's like where your kid's having a nap, your kids are watching a movie on a Sunday, or if you don't have children, you've got loads of time to make food.
Trust me, you've got a lot of time.
Just giving 2 hours to prep and just making it almost is like you're making your week run ahead so much easier. And I think you can do little things like, even if it's like you roll out your mat the night before and you've got your yoga class ready in the morning, or if you get your, I don't know what you sit on when you do your chanting, but get your little cushion set up and you've got your place like ready, you're much more likely to do those things. Or I sometimes sleep. You don't have, or maybe you wear one, I don't know. I wear sports bra at night to sleep in. And then I wake up and then I can move immediately. I don't have to get, so I've got pajama bottoms on.
I mean, I do that, to be honest.
But like,
I train in my pajamas.
Yeah, exactly. Train in your pajamas. Why not? Like, because that one step. I mean, it's much easier now. It's warm in the mornings, but when it's winter, when you get out and you're like, I don't want to get in my gym gear. Whereas, like you said, dressing gown on downstairs, start warming up, and then take the dressing gown off. It's the way to go. Do you know what?
I sleep in a football t-shirt, so I'm just like ready to go.
Exactly. It's perfect. I really think I used to, when I was little, sleep in my school uniform to get an extra bit of sleep in. Me and my brother, it was our technique. Yeah. So I was
going to say I'd try that, but no, it's so done.
It was amazing. It was such a good technique, and then you just got that extra little bit of sleep in the morning.
The glow space, everyone, check it out.
Oh, thank you.
I think that's awesome. I'm going to check it out.
Thank you.
This has been a really wholesome conversation. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good. No,
Thank you so much. I think we've touched on so many different things, so many different dynamics, so many different discussion points. There have been good moments of human education, entertainment. I want to do some quick fire round questions.
Let's do it.
You up for it? Okay. What's something in nutrition that you're curious about right now?
Grenade bars.
Grenade bars.
So random. I feel like they've absolutely exploded. They're these. Have you guys heard of it? No?
He's looking it up right now.
So they're these bars that have come out that are like 1 gram of protein. 1 gram of sugar.
Okay.
Like really, I think 20 something grams of protein. Everyone's going nuts for them, and I just don't quite understand. Are they good for you or are they not?
Can you tell me? Can you do like an Instagram thing on it?
I need to research it more. So they're quite clever. They basically break their sugars down. So they say this is carbohydrates, this is sugars, and then they say 6 grams of polyols, which is a type of alcohol sugar.
Ooh.
And it does digest differently to sugar, but I'm not sure whether actually it is 7 grams of sugar in the bar. But anyway, that's something I'd like to understand more. It's so specific.
Yeah.
But grenade bars, like I think they're the biggest selling product at the moment, biggest selling snack thing. Yeah. People love them because they taste like Oreos, peanut butter bars, and they have very, very low.
That's your reel for tomorrow done. Right.
So that's what I need to do. I need to understand it more. There's not enough information on it. It's all positive and glowing, and I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just intrigued. But it is the big bar of the moment, and they do taste good, I have to say.
I'm gonna try one. What's something that you're personally working through in your nutrition at the moment?
I am working on making sure that I chew my food really well. So it's something I always teach people all the time, but
it's a way to chew.
It's a classic thing. It's often we teach what we most need to learn. Right. Do you know what they say about people? I sometimes can eat quite quickly, and actually digestion starts in the mouth. So we need to chew our food 10 to 15 times each bite.
You count?
Well, sometimes. You can sometimes, yeah. And that's what allows, and that reduces bloating. It means you absorb it more. It also makes you feel more full and satisfied. And it's something I tell everyone, but it's something I have to work on all the time, because naturally, I guess when you work, you're a parent, you want to live life. You just sometimes do eat quickly. And I think we live in a fast-paced, instant satisfaction society. So that is something that I am, hopefully working on.
Amazing.
Forever. Well, not hopefully working forever. Hopefully I'm going to nail it.
Nail it. Do let me know if that works.
Thanks.
Something you used to deeply value but don't value as much anymore.
Ooh, that's a great question. So I remember my bucket list when I was 23, and I had 2 things on it that were like material, and that was a vintage Mercedes and a Chanel handbag, and I generally couldn't care if I had those anymore.
Really, yeah?
Even if I got bought, obviously if I got bought them, I'd be like, thank you. I wouldn't be throwing it in the bin. But
you don't value it as much.
I just don't, I don't value it. So that's a really, I would say material things more and more as I get older, they don't fill me feed my soul. And I know it because often I'll see a dress and I'll be like, oh my God, and I'll buy it and I'll be like, oh, I don't even like it that much anymore. And I know that that's probably even more exacerbated with big purchases. With
the vintage Mercedes and the Chanel handbag. If you know when her birthday is and you're thinking about a gift and you're wealthy, here are 2 options. You've got it here. There you go. Mm-hmm. Last one. If you could create one law in nutrition that everyone has to follow, what would it be?
That is a great question.
Yes.
Eat 2 to 3 portions of veg with your lunch and dinner.
2 to 3 portions of veg
with your lunch and your dinner. That's what I would do.
A law. That's a great law.
It's a law.
It's law. I hereby declare.
You get put in prison if you don't. If there's one.
Madeline's going to get you. Thank you so much, Madeline.
No,
this has been awesome. Thank you so much for your time, your presence, for your education value, for really sharing so many. I think there were really nice moments of people being able to take away, taking away. I could add that. I could crowd in versus, what was it called again?
Crowd in rather than cutting out.
Crowd in rather than cut out. And I think that's really powerful.
Thank you.
I'm going to re-listen to this. I think there's going to be some value for me. Look forward to see you guys at the next episode of For Soul's Sake, and share this with a friend for Soul's Sake. Peace out.